Welcome to Hey Movie Recaps. We will be explaining Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery in which a few friends gather on a private island to play a murder mystery game, only to know that real murders are happening. Before we begin, make sure to hit the subscribe button just like you clicked to open this video. You can send me a message on my Instagram to feature your service or product in the next video description for free. Without further ado, let's dive into the story. The film begins in May 2020, as the COVID-19 pandemic is just starting. Governor Claire DeBella, played by Kathryn Hahn, is being interviewed at home when she receives a strange package. Meanwhile, scientist Lionel Toussaint, played by Leslie Odom Jr., is on a video call with his superiors at Alpha Industries. They are urging him not to go along with the risky plans of his boss, Miles Bryn, played by Edward Norton. Lionel later receives the same mysterious package from Miles. At a party, supermodel Birdie J, played by Kate Hudson, is being attended to by her assistant Peg, played by Jessica Henwick, when they also receive the package from Miles. Peg is trying to keep a drunken Birdie away from her phone. Meanwhile, Duke Cody, a Twitch star who advocates for men's rights, played by Dave Bautista, is making a video with his girlfriend Whiskey, played by Madeline Klein, when his mother, played by Jackie Hoffman, tells him he received the package as well. Claire, Lionel, Birdie, and Duke all join a phone call to try and figure out how to open the box. After Lionel manages to open it, they find that it contains a series of puzzles that lead to a model of a building and an invitation from Miles to his private island for the weekend. The last person to receive the package is Cassandra Andy Brand, played by Janelle Monáe, who simply destroys the box before finding the invitation inside. Detective Benoit Blanc, played by Daniel Craig, is in a bathtub on a video chat with Natasha Lyonne, Angela Lansbury, Stephen Sondheim, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, all of whom are worried about Blanc's tendency to stay in his apartment between cases. Blanc's partner Philip, played by Hugh Grant, then calls him to say that he has received the mysterious box as well. Blanc eventually joins the other guests as they arrive at the dock for a ship that will take them to Miles's island. Claire, Birdie accompanied by Peg, Lionel, and Duke with Whiskey are excited to meet Blanc due to his reputation for solving famous cases. Before they depart, they are given instructions by Miles's assistant, played by Ethan Hawke, to take a disinfectant that will allow them to interact without wearing masks. As they board the boat, everyone is surprised to see Andy arrive. On the ship, Lionel tells Blanc that everyone is taken aback by Andy's presence, as she had a falling out with Miles when he excluded her from a major business deal. The guests arrive on Miles's island, where he greets them along with a surprise guest named Daryl, played by Noah Segan. Miles takes the group on a tour of his home, the Glass Onion, which is named after a bar that the group used to hang out at. He announces that they will be participating in a murder mystery in which he is the victim, and he gives each of them special bracelets that lead to their rooms. This is when Blanc first meets Andy. Blanc later goes to Miles's office, where he discovers that Miles did not actually invite him to the gathering, but he still received the invitation. Miles explains that he sent out a number of invitations in order to gather a diverse group of people for the murder mystery. Blanc agrees to participate, and Miles gives him his own bracelet. The guests get settled in and go to the pool, where they drink spiked kombuchas and socialize. During this time, Whiskey seems to be getting closer to Miles, much to Duke's dismay. Peg approaches Birdie and asks her to speak with Miles about a personal matter, and Birdie comments on how Miles was a nobody when she first met him. Miles sits down to give a little speech to the group, but Andy interrupts to rail against him and the others, since she knows that they are only seeking out Miles's support for their various ventures, such as Claire's political campaign and Duke's Twitch career. Andy reveals that she was originally supposed to be part of Miles's inner circle, but he cut her out of a major business deal and left her to fend for herself. Despite this, Andy has managed to build a successful career on her own. As the evening progresses, tensions rise between the guests as they begin to suspect one another of being the killer. Meanwhile, Blanc starts to investigate the murder, questioning each of the guests and examining the clues that have been left for him. As he gets closer to solving the mystery, he realizes that nothing is as it seems on Miles's island. and that the guests are all connected in unexpected ways. Can Blank solve the case before it's too late? Or will the killer get away with murder? Peg then goes to find Miles and asks him to stop harassing Birdie, as the matter concerns a sweatshop in Bangladesh that made the clothes for the clothing line she manufactures. However, Miles is unwilling to back down. Blank tries to smoke a cigar but is scared off by an alarm. He then witnesses Duke catching Miles and Whiskey hooking up in his bedroom. Later that night, Miles gathers the guests for drinks and then begins the murder mystery. Almost immediately, Blank deduces that the would-be murderer is Birdie, as she is seated directly across from a statue that has a time-released crossbow that would strike Miles. Sure enough, the arrow kills Miles, which annoys him but impresses the other guests. Miles goes to clean up, with Blank following him and apologizing for ruining the surprise so soon. However, Blank also points out that Miles has brought together a group of people who all have motives for wanting him dead. While in Miles's office, Blank notices an artifact that Miles has framed on the wall, which is a cocktail napkin with the details that led to the development of Alpha Industries. As the guests continue drinking, Miles boasts that he has the actual Mona Lisa on loan from the Louvre, as they are in need of money due to the pandemic. The painting has a sensitive alarm system with a fail-safe out in the open. Miles then gathers the group for another presentation. He has developed a new, untested fuel source called Clear, which powers the entire Glass Onion. Lionel tells him that this is crazy, as he needed at least 2 years to properly test Clear before it could be unveiled to the public. Andy calls Miles out again, and she is confronted by Duke, who tells her that she's simply lost in the long run. She walks away from the party in disgust. Despite the recent turn of events, the guests continue to party. Duke brings Miles's attention to something on his phone, which he says could be a game changer and would earn him a coveted spot at Alpha News. Miles fixes a drink and passes it to Duke, who begins choking moments later. The other guests try to help, but Duke dies. The group starts to look for his phone, but nobody can find it since it has stopped beeping from notifications. They begin to suspect that Miles was the intended target of the poison and that someone meant to kill him. And they also notice that Duke's gun, which he always carries, is missing. At exactly 10 p.m., the lights all around the Glass Onion begin to go out. Whiskey comes in, yelling that Andy ransacked their room. Blank goes after Andy in the darkness, but just as they begin talking, an unseen assailant fires a gun, hitting Andy. The rest of the group comes out and sees Blank standing over her. He then gathers the group in another room to discuss the situation. The film follows Detective Benoit Blanc as he investigates the death of Andy, who is said to have committed suicide. Andy's twin sister, Helen, believes that Andy was actually murdered and enlists Blank's help to find out the truth. Helen explains that Andy had been cut out of a deal with a company called Clear, which was founded by their mutual friend Miles. Miles and 4 other friends, Lionel, Claire, Duke, and Birdie, had testified against Andy in order to completely cut her out of the company, even though Andy had originally introduced Miles to them and helped him get the company off the ground. Helen suspects that one of these 5 friends may have killed Andy out of greed or revenge. To gather more information, Blank and Helen decide to go undercover on a retreat on a remote island, where the group of friends has been invited by Miles. Helen poses as Andy, changing her appearance and accent to avoid suspicion. On the boat ride to the island, Duke and Birdie are surprised to see Andy, but Blank coaches Helen on how to act normal and avoid arousing suspicion. Once they are on the island, Helen takes advantage of the opportunity to snoop on the other guests and gather clues about their motives and potential involvement in Andy's death. She overhears Lionel and Claire discussing how their careers are in trouble because of Clear, and that Claire could lose potential voters if she continues to back the company. Lionel also admits that he hasn't disclosed that Clear is susceptible to leakage, which could cause massive explosions. Helen also drops a recorder in Birdie's bag, which captures a conversation between Birdie and another guest, Peg, where Birdie admits to signing off on a statement taking full responsibility for sweatshops in Bangladesh in order to receive compensation from Miles. In addition to these clues, Helen also learns that Duke's girlfriend, Whiskey, is unhappy in their relationship and that Duke asked her to seduce Miles in order to get a job at Alpha News. However, Miles doesn't want to hire Duke because he has a history of marketing erection pills to teenagers. During the evening party, Helen initiates an argument with Miles in order to have an excuse to leave the party and search the rooms for the envelope that contains evidence of Andy's true role in the creation of Clear. However, while searching Miles' room, Helen is caught by Whiskey, who threatens her with a trident gun. The lights going out gives Helen an opportunity to escape, and she runs into Blank, who has just discovered that Miles is the real killer. Blank reveals that Miles killed Duke by giving him a drink spiked with pineapple juice, knowing that Duke was deathly allergic to pineapples. Miles had planned to use Duke's article on Andy's death to blackmail him into getting a job at Alpha News. But when Duke discovered that Miles had killed Andy, Miles decided to eliminate him as a threat. Miles also killed Andy because he found out about the email from Lionel, which revealed that Andy had the envelope containing evidence of her true role in the creation of Clear. Despite having no concrete evidence of Miles' guilt, Helen decides to take matters into her own hands and destroys Miles' reputation and business empire by setting fire to his office and allowing the Mona Lisa to be destroyed in the flames. The other guests agree to testify against Miles, and as the police arrive on the island, Helen looks out at the ocean with a satisfied smirk, knowing that she has brought justice for her sister. Thank you for watching our movie explanation video. We appreciate your support as we continue to grow and our viewership increases on a daily basis. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and leave a message on our Instagram page letting us know what service or product you'd like to see featured in our next video. This is a great opportunity for you to market your product or service to our 50% of American viewers for free. Keep in mind that we will be featuring only 5 random products or services, so make sure to get your request in soon. Thanks again, and we'll see you at the next one.